Welcome to episode 15 of Play Some D with your host, as always, me, Coach D. And yeah, 15 of them things in here. But first, before we get into the 15th installment, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications to know when these babies pop on you every week around this time, give or take. Just depends, I guess, on what's popping, in the worldwide realm of sports, music, news, politics, current events, interesting things, random things. This will just keep varying and varying from week to week, and I'm almost kind of trick myself with times that I don't even know what I'm going to talk about sometimes till few hours, whatever, before I get this thing moving, honestly, sometimes. So I think about it during the week, what I want to talk about, and then I just slap it on the board, and then I freestyle all this. I don't have any really set thoughts. I mean, I obviously have thoughts about it because I talk about it. So I do think about it, but how I'm going to speak on it during this episode, during this podcast, whatever we call it, whatever, I have no clue until I get right in front of this space and talk about it. So this week, I almost skipped it because I just been talking about basketball a little bit much, but essentially that's what originally I had planned really to only talk about when I wanted to start doing this. It's pretty much basketball and music, basketball, football, and music, sports and music, pretty exclusively. I don't, movies probably as well. I guess just sports, music, movies every now and then. I would say I think that's what I was originally thinking, but it's evolved into my interests. They're just all over the place, variety. The mantra of Play Some D is variety is the spice of life, and I enjoy it. I like it. So this week I couldn't almost skip game ones, but like I said, this is a staple. I love watching basketball. I watch more basketball than I'm sure some people could even imagine. I watch a lot of basketball. I even watched some high school basketball this past weekend. I watched WNBA basketball. So basketball is my jam. I love football too. And then so I definitely talk. I want to talk a little bit about the weekend of game ones. I won't do game twos and game threes, obviously. But the first opening playoff week, it was exciting. We all anticipated it. Last year was the bubble. This year, everybody's back in the arena. So it's a little bit different. So I'll talk about the NBA game ones. I'll talk about the integration of cashless, not a cashless society, but just moving in a cashless environment with paying at restaurants and buying things just without cash. Just want to kind of briefly just bounce that around. I've been talking about it a lot for probably the last couple of years, but COVID's accelerated it. I've been talking about it with friends and family and things of that nature for a while, but COVID has accelerated it. So a lot of people are interested, and it's an interesting topic. I'll speak on the Billboard Music Awards that happen on Sunday. And I will talk about Fortnite or Epic. It's really Epic versus Apple, but it's really the App Store versus Fortnite, really what it is. But overall, it's Apple versus Epic. So that's just the interesting thing, and I'll probably just turn that into talking about Apple and Epic and not actually the case that's going on with Apple and Epic, but we'll see how that goes when we get there. But again, please subscribe, please like, please turn on post notifications. I got first quarter ready to get popping with the NBA playoffs game ones, and it kicked off with Heat and Bucks. As far as gambling terms goes, this and the Brooklyn game were my two favorite in terms of betting. I thought Milwaukee would make a statement and kind of knock the Heat's heads off, but they didn't, and it doesn't look like they will. This will be a knockdown, drag them out. I don't think it necessarily goes 7, but I do think all of the wins are going to be close. And Milwaukee at one point were up by 8, and I thought they would kind of take off on the Heat, and they didn't. Then there was another moment, I think they were up 4, and Ariza hit that 3. And the Bucks actually, I think the Bucks would have covered the 5.5 it was if Ariza did not hit that 3. And that would probably have been 6 points. So they probably won by like 6. It would have been 5 or 6 they would have won by. So either they would have covered or wouldn't. But I did think if he didn't hit that 3, that is what happened. I love the Nets to plaster the Celtics. They actually didn't. They won by 11, but they did cover. I got it at 8.5, so it was really close. Obviously, the Nets didn't score that many points, but they didn't really look interested, and Boston does not look like they'll have enough. They'll have spurts where they'll probably give the Nets trouble, but over the full game, it just doesn't really get really nothing I don't think they can do. We'll see. I mean, Brad Stevens may have something up his sleeve, and it may get competitive, but I highly doubt it. Now, last week I did talk about the playing game, and I didn't think the Celtics would be in at all. They came out. It was really just Tatum. I do think it was just Tatum. The 50 points was just too much, I think, probably for anybody to overcome. I mean, the 50 points is a lot, especially when the rest of your team is playing well. And then the Pacers just didn't have their guys. I mean, everybody was hurt. The Karis LeVert news was huge. That was a big break. And I did think Indiana would have been the AC. I thought the Wizards would have been 7 playing the Nets. A lot of people said the Wizards kind of didn't want to play the Nets. I kind of disagree because they just match up horribly against the Sixers. But they fought with the Sixers. They fought hard with the Sixers. I mean, pretty much there was a couple bad turnovers at the end, and Bradley Beal didn't get the ball a couple of times where he definitely should have gotten the ball, and it probably could have kept it a little bit close. But that's it's just at the end of the day, the war of attrition is just the Sixers got better players, and unless the Wizards 2 guys just go nuclear, it's going to be tough for them to win. And then the last Eastern Conference game was the Hawks and the Knicks, where I think if Julius Randle plays a little bit better, it looks like the Knicks probably win that game. But it's just hard to tell because it feels like this will be very similar, just like to the Heat and Bucks, where I don't know if either team will ever separate from each other. I think they'll fight. They match up well. Atlanta does have better players, but Knicks have really good defensive players and a good system, and they play hard, and they can keep it. They do have guys who keep it close. And all you really want or need when you don't have the talent the other team has is just keep it close. And then, those end possessions will decide it. And Trae Young was the better player just Sunday evening. And yeah, I think it'll just come down to who's a better player and probably who has. Or the Knicks had the ball last, but the play that was drawn up was bad. Burks took it out of bounds. He's the best guy on the floor for the Knicks. He can't take the ball out with 0.9 seconds. That just gives the defense, okay, he's taking it out, so I don't have to worry about him. I know where the ball is going. It's going to Randle, and he hasn't had a good game, and you just got to make it a little difficult. And that's, it worked out for the Hawks, and we'll see how Game 2 goes in the Garden for the Knicks. Now, for the Western Conference, it's where it gets a little interesting because I think most people thought that the Lakers would be Golden State in the play-in, and Golden State actually should have won that game. So they actually should be playing the Suns right now, but that's not what's going on. And then they lost to the Grizzlies, and then the Grizzlies came out and pretty much handled the Jazz for the most part. Donovan Mitchell didn't play, but Bogdanovich didn't play in the first half. He had 0 points in the first half, and he showed up in the second half, and that's really essentially was the difference in the second half. But Memphis is not scared. Nobody talked about it. I didn't see anybody mention it, but I felt like Shaq mentioned punching them in the mouth and not being scared. I feel like Utah is scared of the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies have more of the gritty players, more of the aggressive players. Utah's pretty finesse. They do have some goons, but their goons aren't really good. The Grizzlies goons, Jaren Jackson, Valanciunas, Dylan Brooks, even the rookie from TCU, I forgot his name. Like they're goons that can play. Like they can make shots. Conley, Mitchell, Ingles, Bogdanovich, Gobert, they're not goons. Gobert a little bit, but they're not really goons. They're pretty finesse guys. So that makes it a little tough. Clarkson's, I think he's got a little streak in him, and then Royce O'Neal and Favors, but they're not really, So that was interesting to see the Grizzlies win. I did think at some point the Grizzlies looked like the better team out there majority of the night. So that was a little bit shocking. The Suns beating the Lakers was not shocking at all. I thought the Suns would cover. That was probably the next in line bet that I like. Well, actually no, I like the 76ers. So I would have went Nets as my best bet. Bucks and then Sixers to cover the 7.5. They did not cover the 7.5. They went by 7. I like the Suns to beat the Lakers, and then the rest of them I 4 of them I felt good about. The other 4 I had literally no clue about. But the Lakers don't look good. They don't look good at all. They don't really have any type of rotation. Guys are kind of just out there running around waiting for LeBron and AD to pick it up. And AD just doesn't look like he feels like playing basketball, or he's hurt, or whatever the case may be. And Phoenix have guys that can ball. You can't expect 10 out of 11 from Ayton every night. Booker will probably give you those buckets every night. And we'll see how Chris Paul feels going into the next game. But the Lakers will be better, but the Phoenix Suns are really good, and that series could go either way unless LeBron goes crazy. No matter what AD does, if LeBron goes crazy, the Lakers are gonna win. That's just how I feel about it. But I don't know if LeBron's wind and confidence is at that level for him to do that or feel comfortable kind of trying to take over a game. The Blazers and Nuggets, I expect the Nuggets to be better, but I think the Blazers just have better players. I don't know spread, there'll be pick'ems, but I think overall the better team, the better players, I think Portland has the better players, they will win. So wasn't shocked that Portland took game 1 at all. And that's just two good teams playing against each other, and I think whichever team guys get hot that night will probably win. But Lillard and CJ are the best 2 players on the court every single night. They're the best 2 players to me. Jokic is good, but he's a good player, but I don't think he's leading you anywhere like that. Your guards, your wings got to get it done. Big man unless he just turns into that. If he turns into the wing that's distributing, shooting, rebound, if he's just doing it all, maybe. But I think CJ, Jokic, whatever. I guess they could alternate, but I like CJ and Lillard as the best 2 players in the series, just my opinion. And then the Mavericks and Clippers, wasn't shocked at all that the Mavs won. The Clippers just, like the Lakers, just seem like I don't know. They don't care. They don't want to play. I don't even know if Kawhi likes basketball anymore. But I don't even know. Paul George is going to be Paul George. He'll have a couple big games. Clippers will probably blow the Mavs out. Probably 2 games, probably. But the Mavs are going to fight. Mavs can't play D. I expect the Clippers to win, but they just seem like it's like, we'll turn it on, or we won't turn it on, or we'll lose, whatever. I'm rich. Whatever. So, I didn't expect the Celtics to play the Nets, but I still, just to kind of pick a couple games that I thought that I didn't think would happen. I didn't think the other Wizards would play the Nets, but same outcomes. The Nets will beat the Celtics. The Sixers will beat the Wizards. At those, different teams playing there. Lakers and Suns, I still think the Lakers should win the series, but I would not be surprised if the Suns do. And then the Grizzlies and Jazz. I don't know. I'm not big on the Utah Jazz. I don't think they have good enough players, but Bogdanovich is good. Mitchell will come back. Grizzlies may come down off their high. They won 3 on the road. You know, it's highly unlikely they win game 2. And even if they win game 2, they're not going to win both games in Memphis. So Utah all have their opportunities, even if the Grizzlies keep playing out of their mind. But it'll probably still end up being Utah playing the Clippers. And I'll reconvene probably with when I talk about the second round at some point on, play some D. So that's quarter number 1. Just kind of overall talking about, the first games of the NBA playoffs. I was excited. I watched all of the games. Well, I was in Las Vegas on Saturday, so I didn't see any of the Trailblazers game. I saw a little bit. Let me think. I saw everything on Sunday. Yeah, I saw a little bit of everything. I saw a good amount of everything, but I didn't see any of the Trailblazers game. So that's the only game I didn't actually watch. But for quarter number 2, who is quarter number 2? Quarter number 2. Yeah, we got Apple versus Epic, but I'm putting Apple versus Fortnite up here because that's, Fortnite. So essentially, Epic it'll end on Monday. It'll end Monday, and then we don't know how long the judge will make a ruling on it. But it's basically a good company, Epic and Fortnite, with a big product coming up and saying that Apple needs to redefine its app store. It's taking a chunk of commission out of in-app purchases, game purchases. So if something costs $10, Apple can take up to $3 out of that. And, they can start, when you get an iPhone, it feels like Apple controls it all. And I don't know really how to feel about that, because you get an iPhone, it is Apple software, it is Apple's app store. I just don't know the deep legal terms of that, but it seems like they should be allowed to do that. It just doesn't seem like they should be allowed to gouge. It's their stuff. They have to make sure what goes in their app store is safe, secure, works. It has to be an integrated process. They want it to replicate their phone. Want it to be smooth. No crashes. So I get some of that, but they don't. You shouldn't be gouging, especially on like an in-app purchase. Once you buy a game or a product, and then inside of that app you want to buy something from the brand, whatever, I don't know, that doesn't sound right at all. But even if you take that part out, which I'm kind of confused on, but if you take that part out of it, the commission on just buying something just shouldn't be hefty. It should be reasonable. Apple's making a lot of money, and they should understand that and be fair with just, knowing the power you have and just being a little bit more. I mean, I just feel like companies just do not do that. And yeah, you say capitalism and I could do it. I get all that stuff, but it's just like, come on, man, how much is, enough? So I get that, though. I know it looks like, Tim Cook got out there and, did his thing. I guess a lot of stuff he couldn't answer in terms of how much. It says between 2017 and October 2020, Epic paid $237 million commission to Apple for Fortnite, but they paid a little more to Microsoft and a lot more, almost double, to Sony. It looks like let's see. He said he wasn't sure how profitable the App Store was. I don't know if that's something he actually should answer. I think that's kind of irrelevant. We know it's profitable, and I don't think it being how much profitable should dictate what percentage of commission you could rip people off for. So I don't think that's the case because once again, iPhones make Apple money as well. I think it's just a little bit of consideration, but I know most of those people don't really care about consideration. Most of Apple's App Store revenue comes from gaming apps. Cook was tight-lipped on the App Store's profit margins. However, when asked about by the judge, he confirmed the majority of revenue in the App Store comes from games and in-app purchases in particular. Right? Correct. So, but even if Epic doesn't win, the company has done a good job at publicizing what it claims unfair business practice issues that won't go away even if Apple is victorious. So that's the thing. Epic doing this is cool because they're kind of standing up for the small guys too, even if they can't afford it. So that's pretty dope. And then outside of that, I just wanted to take really more so why I did this. I just wanted to take a second to kind of shout out Apple and Epic, and Epic particularly towards Fortnite is just what they've both done in terms of tech and the gaming world. Fortnite evolved. I wouldn't say it changed everything. So other battle royals, but it evolved everything. It really pushed a lot of people. I think a lot of people do think about their competition, and competition breeds success. If you want to be better in your competition, you got to work harder. You got to be better, and that leads the way for all the new games coming out. To see Fortnite 4 years later, roughly, give or take, probably 3-ish. Probably they've been hot for probably 3. Still going strong. Doesn't look like Fortnite's going anywhere. They keep evolving it. It's just Epic CEO says it's just not a game. I respect that sentiment and kind of wholeheartedly believe that it's really not. They do events and it's entertainment for kids and it's competition, and it's a lot more than just the video game you just casually go on and shoot and look at colors. So shout out to Fortnite, and then Apple for keeping the ball moving on keeping the iPhone a high quality product. Yeah, it is a little more expensive, and actually I do want to talk about cell phones at one point on Play Some D. Hopefully I'll get there, run across it, but iPhones are a ridiculous price. They're more expensive than some, top of the line computers in a sense. But to have something in your pocket that works very, very well, it does multiple things, helps and makes your life so accessible. And not only that, people love Apple watches, and there'll probably be some form of glasses. Apple TV is super smooth and cool, and they have the studio and everything. So it is cool to see those companies when you have a product or products and you keep making them better and you don't get lazy. But I do still think there's a point where you should show a little bit of consideration, just because obviously you don't want to lose your spot on top of a mountaintop, but don't just stomp on everybody that's at the bottom of the mountain. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to really, really talk about. Just kind of give Apple and Epic a little bit of love in terms of what they've done. Apple for a little bit longer. Fortnite, especially for the gaming community, has changed. Fortnite's changed a lot of individuals' lives and things of that nature, and led to the progression of and obviously now I'm talking about in the streaming world and even competition. Some people, I don't know for sure. I'm sure there's people that don't stream that's won in Fortnite events and made a little bit of change to help their family and things of that nature. So, all that is just amazing and awesome to me. So shout out to Epic, shout out to Apple. And time is the right time for me to shine. I say, I tell yous, I tell yous, I tell yous, I tell yous. Um, that was halftime. Adjust the mic a little bit. Adjust the microphone a little bit. All right, so for quick and painless, I guess you can say, is just the talks of a cashless a cashless I don't know. I don't like the cashless society idea because I'm not saying it couldn't happen. It definitely could happen, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Cash is king, and it it really disproportionately goes against a lot of stuff that's pretty heavy in the country, especially the United States right now, with like homelessness and whatnot. So getting rid of cash right now would just be kind of devastating. This will create another argument that's totally not necessary right now that could break up. We're already in a pretty disjointed time in America, and that would make it worse. But I did just want to touch on some talking points with advantages and disadvantages. The low crime rate is a big thing, I would imagine. Carrying cash does make is definitely a target for criminals, especially if someone's known to have a big amount of money. I was walking around Vegas with just some chips, kind of heavy on chips, and just kind of thought about, like, man, somebody could kind of just be ignorant, just try to knock these out of my hand and just grab a couple, uh, and kind of just scramble, scurry off, and I would, could have lost a couple $100. And um hypothetically, if that money just straight transferred to your account, you would feel a little bit better, obviously. And then once you go to the cashier, they give you cash, so you're walking around possibly with, this is just a Vegas example. You say you won a big jackpot, you could walk around with thousands of dollars. Somebody was watching you or seeing that, not saying they would, but I'm sure there's scumbags out here that could. The paper trail, I think, it's a plus for, like, as far as like financial crimes, like illegal transactions, illegal gambling, and drug operations. I don't know on which side that falls. It's a plus and a minus. Everybody doesn't want a paper trail. Some people just want to be able to spend their money that they've earned and not have to worry about maybe a wife tracking them, or a mom tracking them, or just being able to, what did you spend? What did you went to the store and bought what, or whatever. So I think it's a plus and minus as far as the paper trail. You can obviously see what people what people have spent their money on and things of that nature. So that would as far as the crime world, a lot of illegal stuff would get a little bit tougher. Obviously, there would be loopholes and people would figure out a way around that. But I think more just like personal stuff would be more of the critical annoyance, in my opinion. Cash management costs money. It costs money to print bills and mint coins. Businesses need to store money, get more money when they run out, deposit cash when they have too much on hand, and in some cases hire a company to transport cash safely. Banks hire large security teams to protect banks against physical bank robberies. So yeah, that's, cash management does, it does cost money, and if everything just went digitally, that in terms sounds practical right now until banks start getting hacked. We've seen what hackers have done, and they will continue to up the ante. And it's only a matter of time before some bank is hacked, especially if it's all digital, all money's wiped out, debts, and it would be the number one thing on their hit list if that was to happen. So once again, there is a disadvantage to some advantages, and also vice versa. And then international payments do become much easier, which it can be a hassle with, exchanging your money when you go somewhere, and making sure you're not getting ripped off, and the value of something, and I've been out the country. It wasn't a problem for me, but I'm sure for some that you know could have issues with whatever that could be, numbers, math, whatever. It could be a little difficult. So I do understand that. The disadvantage of a cash free world, it does have the hacking risk on here, um, and it's mainly all technology based. Digital transactions sacrifice privacy, just like I mentioned before. Cashless transactions supposed to be in hackers are the bank robbers and muggers of the electronic world. Like, you're the number one target. Technology problems could impact access to your funds. Most of the stuff is technology based. Fees. You take cash out the game, and you will be charged fees after fees after fees, because we're doing you a convenience. We're housing everything for you. We're making sure your money is safe. We're gonna charge you for that. So then that'll be standard across the board. The income equality, don't really have to speak on that. And then this is a temptation to overspend could be increased. And I didn't think about that, but yeah, when you take out cash out of your pocket, you see it with electronic. On other hands, easy to swipe. Just kind of do it. When you see cash and physically see how much you have of something and value in your hands, and that's why I personally like to spend cash too, and I kind of look at my bank card like cash as well, so it doesn't really bother me too much. But when you know how much cash you actually have in your pocket to spend, the person like me that wants to still keep some of it in my wallet, you don't really want to spend it all. Whereas not having to see it and saying, "Hey, I got $200 and I can spend 199, and it's still, my car's still gonna look the same. Everything's still gonna look the same. I just won't be able to buy nothing else." I think that could matter. I definitely do think that'll matter. And then negative interest rates could be passed on to customers. When all your money is electronic, negative income rates could have a more direct effect on consumers. Countries like Denmark, Japan, and Switzerland have already experimented with negative interest rate. Dropping interest rates is typically a move to stimulate an economy, but the result is that money loses purchase power. So negative interest rate reduces bank's profitability, and bank could be tempted to hike fees on customers to make up for a deficit. So once again, I don't, people talk about it and it sounds good. It's a good conspiracy theory, but I think overall it's not worth it to do just yet. There's this other bigger fish to fry, but could financial institutions and people in power lean towards that if it benefits them? Yeah, but that's the world we live in. If it benefits me, I'm definitely going to try to push that agenda. And that's just kind of how it always has been, and I think how it always will be. So unfortunately, could it happen? Does it look like we're headed down a road? Sure, but that road could be so long and treacherous that it may not even happen, and we may hit potholes and speed bumps to slow the car down, slow the ride down, and just like I think we're gonna turn around, or we're gonna stop here and chill. So we'll see. We'll see overall how it exactly goes, but I understand all people's gripes about it, and how I understand how people feel about it and things of that nature. So I get it, but I don't think it's a real worry that people should be stressed out about. My opinion. Just go deep talking over here, you know what I'm saying? Ain't much, you know what I'm saying. Well, let's just get the fourth quarter and get to the Billboard Music Awards. I like to talk about, I never watch these things, but I do like to talk about big moments for what it seems like fans and artists. It seems like fans are really into this stuff. I think it's so fake and surreal that we don't have award shows for like cool stuff. Like we should have like teachers awards and police officer awards and the best firefighters, but we have music and movies and best senators. We don't have best senators, best representatives. We have goofy stuff like music awards and movie awards. Like, it's so weird that that's what we celebrate, but it is what it is. I just live in it. So I guess I'll talk about it. I will literally talk about the best teachers, the best firefighters, the best police officers, the best. Uh, I don't know. I probably could go on for days. The stuff that I would like, the coolest, zookeepers take care of those animals and veterinarians of the year. I don't know. But anyway, the weekend he led with 10 with wins in 10 categories. He was top artist, top male artist, top 100 artists. Top artist was Drake, Juice WRLD, Pop Smoke, Taylor Swift. The weekend, Pop Smoke should not have been on there. Juice WRLD should not have been on there. It really just should have been though. It should have just been Drake, Taylor, and the weekend. Actually, it should have been Taylor and the weekend. Drake has not done anything really that it should have been Taylor and the weekend. I think the weekend deserved it. Taylor Swift's been doing her thing too though. Top new artist, they gave it to Pop Smoke. It probably should have went to Jack Harlow, I believe, Jack Harlow or Doja, but Pop Smoke passed, so they like to do the pay homage thing. Top male artist, I think it should have been between Lil Baby and The Weeknd. The Weeknd won. I think The Weeknd deserves all the. I think he deserves all the awards he got. Taylor Swift's top female artist that's not. I don't think it's even arguable. Top duo group BTS, not even arguable. I mean, they are like the biggest. I mean, they're just. I mean, I know they're behind the engine and they got their fans back there, but all the hype is real and they're good, and they definitely deserve that. The top Billboard 200 artists is Taylor Swift. Her and Post makes sense. I think that was the choice, but giving it to Taylor is fine. Top 100 artists went to The Weeknd. It probably should be between him and the baby, which was in here. Probably Dua. I think actually Dua probably could have won this over The Weeknd. I think that was the two top streaming artists. That's just That's just actual numbers. So that's Drake. He's a top streaming song artist, top sales artist. These are all just things that are actually there. Top radio songs artists of The Weeknd. You see those numbers. Top social media. I don't follow BTS like that, but they rock social media. So, some of the other people, SB19, I have no idea who they are. 17. I know Blackpink, Ariana Grande, she's big on social media too. Top R&B artist, that was obviously The Weeknd. And then what I just wanted to touch on was the Drake got artist of the decade. Let me just see. I would like to see if I would like to see if they would to show the. I probably should have looked it up a long time ago. But Drake got artist of the decade, and this is a whole nother topic that I could have just did this on, and just kind of tried to. I mean, I probably been 20 minutes, 30 minutes could be, but I ain't even just kind of thinking about Taylor off the top of my head. I've heard somebody mention J. Cole. Now Drake has been on top of a lot of stuff for the last 10 years, and I understand why he gets it. It's your artist of the decade. That's a body of work, and all of his numbers. You don't argue it, but I would wonder what other criteria and what other artists are right there. And I would love to see the breakdown of maybe 2 or 3 other artists in the past 10 years. And I said I could probably do my homework and do that and then come back and talk about it. But that would be a lot more interesting, honestly. But on the flip side of this, I believe maybe episode 6 or 7, somewhere around there, I did talk about the Drake effect and Drake in general. I do think there is depending how the next, I would say maybe 5 years go, 3 to 5 years ago on what he does. He could go down as the greatest artist of all time. He will be fought by a lot of other individuals because there's a lot of young artists that'll probably just get better and probably keep making great music, but he will end up going down in that realm just because how many people follow him. His music is solid, and if he gives like a really really good classic album in his lane of work, I don't believe that's going to happen, but I do think it's fair to be able to put him in that category. Will he be the best rapper of all time? Not even close, which is interesting because that's what he came in the game doing. And he's actually really good at rapping, but he'll never be the best rapper. And that's really not, for the most part, the music he makes really ever. Or maybe he's probably split down the middle. I don't know. Once again, that would be factual numbers that I'll have to look at. But he'd never go down as the greatest rapper. But artist, I mean, yeah. I mean, he definitely could go down as as one of the greatest artists. So him getting that award is I think it's right on. I think I said it's probably maybe 2 or 3 other people you might be able to make the argument. Maybe 4 people that off the top of my head I guess you're gonna think of that you could probably make the argument before, but he deserves it. And it looks like he's going to try and finish out strong. I don't know if he'll go past 40 or whatever the case may be. I think it's all just feeling and how the industry is and what kind of groove you're in. I know Jay-Z wanted to quit. I'm sure Nas and we had Jeezy and there's country. There's other artists and other genres that I'm sure I wanted to quit and they were like, I just feel it and it makes something. So I don't know if quitting is as easy as it sounds, but we'll see. But shout out to him. The Billboard Music Awards. It looks like they got most of that right. The weekend was a Blinding Lights. This album was which album was this? This was After Hours, I believe. Yeah, After Hours was 2020. After Hours was an excellent album, and a lot of those songs still play. So I understand, why and how he got this, and all all those wins, and rightfully so. He deserved. Took advantage of a year when people didn't make that much music, and his stuff kept running, and he's a good artist. So he might get a decade one, maybe on the next one. So we'll see. But yeah, that's this is 15. 15. It's pretty awesome. I'm happy to be at 15. Moving forward to 16. Possibly get a layout change at 20 or something. I flirted with it, but I like this layout. I like how the black and the white, and it's just kind of what I'm going with right now. It feels good, looks good. I'll rock with it for a while. I like to change up stuff though. Variety. I like to switch it up. So we'll switch it at some point and may go full screen camera, depending on how good I get of a camera or whatever. Hopefully switch up the mic at some point. I shouldn't really be talking about this stuff, but whatever. Talking about it. But yeah, there's just some Cashless talk, some Billboard Music Awards talk, some NBA Game 1s talk, some Apple and Epic talk. It's a good one. But once again, thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and let me get on my Grizzly and drop my rent on my Grizzly. Let me get on my Grizzly and get to working on 16 or thinking about 16. I feel like I wait till Friday before I start jotting notes down about what I want to do for 16, and I probably should jump on it before that. So let me get to jumping on that. And everybody be cool, be safe, be happy, be merry. It is Coach D. We'll play some D. And I'll holla at you to the next one. Me holla.